Welcome everyone. This is my third Q&A, and I'm hoping we'll have some more people today that'll come on and ask questions. So today I want to talk about or begin with talking about the hands and the forearm. I've been getting a lot of people lately in my office that is having problems with their hands. So I'm going to back up here a little bit so I can really show you more about the hand and what's going on here. Anyway, so when you look at your hand, most people don't realize that from the elbow to the tips of the fingers, you have 26 muscles in your hand there. And so what happens is that when you are making a fist or you're opening your hands, you see both of those are muscle contractions. So you have five muscles that attach here, come all the way out to the fingertips, and they allow you to make a fist like that and grip things. But you also have five muscles that attach here and come all the way out to your fingertips that allows you to open your hands. So for you to open your hands, the muscles up here have to contract. And you can see this that, I'll move my sleeve back so you can see what I'm talking about. See how my forearm, I don't know if you can see it or not, we'll see here. But see how the forearm muscles move based on me gripping my hand. So many times when someone has like elbow tendonitis up into here, they believe they have an elbow problem. But the thing is that chances are that came about because of gripping from their hands. Now, people will treat the elbow joint, but in many cases, that joint, which you feel up here around the joint, is actually and then you can feel the knot right there. If I turn it this way, you can feel the knot there, and you can feel one in these two places here, the muscles attached there that go all the way out to your fingertips. Now, you have two bones in your forearm here, and those two bones have muscles in between that allow you to rotate the hand in the different directions here. Let me see if I can get where you can see what I'm doing here. And so you want to work in here with your fingers. And a lot of times when I'm working on my own, I'll just wrap my hand around my arm here, and I'm actually just working right into the forearm. Now, many times when I say to people, do this, what I find them doing is this kind of thing, like that. I can tell you that's doing nothing, okay? What you want, you can use your fingers this way, or like with what I do my thumb here. But let's say if you want to use your fingers this way, what you're doing is you're pressing a little bit here, and notice how I rotate my left hand here. You see, as I rotate this around. Now, as I rotate it, and you can do this along with me if you want, but as I rotate it, I can feel the muscles up here moving under my arm, under my fingers. Okay. Now, what I want is if I press a little bit, and I'm not digging into the bone, and that's another thing. People think when they massage, because they've heard so much about deep tissue massage, that I've got to dig all the way to the bone like I'm digging for gold kind of thing. That's actually going to cause the brain to contract these muscles more because you've got so much pain. The brain is trying to stop the pain. And so what we want is just enough pressure that I can feel, okay, that's a sore spot right there. And so what I want to do there is now rotate my hand, breathing out, taking my time with it. Notice how slow I'm moving my hand. And as I'm breathing out, taking my time with that, what is happening there is that it's allowing the brain to relax and see this is an okay movement to do that it's safe. And so by doing that, what happens is now the muscle starts to soften and relax. And once it does, the pain stops, and then I can move to the next spot that I find. And when I do that a few times, I can continue to move all the way down my forearm here. And the same thing is happening on the other side. So if I stand up here where you can see what I'm doing, I'm turning my hand over this way. Now I can use my thumb, and again, I'm rotating. Notice that it's not the pressure here, it's the rotation here that's putting a little pressure there as I breathe out that allows my forearm to release, you see. And you start to slowly work down the hand. Now, if I press here and I do this and it doesn't release and I don't feel the pain go away, I'm going to stay here slowly working until that happens. Because the idea here is we want to get the muscle to soften, get the brain to relax so that I can get the grip back into my hand. That's an important thing to remember when you're working on that forearm. So the forearm many times can make you feel like you have a weak grip when in reality the muscles up here are tight. And so when you try to grip something, they don't release, and then that causes this to feel weak in here. So it's not necessarily always a strength thing. Now, I will say this, that probably 50% of the time, it truly is a strength thing. And if that's the case, the muscles feel good, there's no pain in here, but you still have a weak grip. There's nothing wrong with taking something like a tennis ball, for instance, hold it in your hand and squeeze that. And as you do that, you're going to squeeze and hold as long as you can. So when I first initially did that many years ago when I broke my left arm, was that I would squeeze and hold. And when I first started, I could get to maybe a count of 5 and I had to release it. So that's my baseline. So what I did every day from that point on is build on that count of 5 as I held the tennis ball. And I eventually got to the point I could hold it for 30, 40, 50 seconds at a time. That's going to build the muscles in here as well as the muscles in my hand. But this in here started to get stronger. And as I did, I was able to grip things much longer than that. So that's an important piece there, because when somebody says, well, I've got elbow tendonitis, there's a disconnect between that my hand had anything to do with that. The hand has everything to do with that. And it's like, even if they give you a shot or an injection up here, it may stop the pain, but as you use your hand every day, it's going to come back. And it's like, I was just talking to a client yesterday, and I said to him, think about all the ways you use your hands in gripping things. And he goes, well, I don't. And I go, well, sure you do. When you're typing on a keyboard, when you're eating food and holding a fork or a spoon, or you pick up a cup of water, you're driving your car, you're putting on your clothes. I mean, everything you do that you hold anything in your hand or tie anything with your hands, you're using the muscles from the elbow down to your fingertips. And like I said earlier, that's 26 muscles that you're engaging in that one movement. And it could be something as simple as picking up a glass of water and taking a drink. So then the hand then becomes also important in how you actually massage the hand. So the most important muscle that I have found is right in the triangular shaped piece here between the thumb and the index finger is a muscle called a thenar eminence. That becomes real important because we're one of the few mammals with a thumb, which allows us to really grip things. And so when you are gripping something, the thumb then has to come in and grab it. And you notice how the thumb is what finishes the grip off, you see. And so the muscle in here can get very tight to the point that you can touch somebody in here and it's like, ow, don't do that. Again, don't go deep, because if you go deep and it hurts too much, you won't be able to do that. But what you want to be able to do is take your other hand and just work. See if I can do this where you can see what I'm doing. See, I'm working right into here. So you can see on the back side there, I'm just pressing and pressing and breathing out. And I'm just pressing enough that I can feel if there's any discomfort there at all without it being painful. You can do that anytime, anywhere. In fact, I've done that sitting and talking to my friends in a chair. And it's like, so you're just going to grip that hand and you're going to start working and softening the muscles in your hand here. And then what that does is that starts to free that up. Otherwise, you're going to get pain down here in what they call a saddle joint. And a lot of times, especially as we get older, people go, oh, I think that must be arthritis. Chances are it could be, but chances are it has more to do with the muscle here being tight. You see, the main reason for people having arthritis is lack of use. Once you start to feel pain, you go, oh, I can't open jars anymore. I can't do this. And nobody really talks to you about how to get in here, work these muscles to start softening these muscles back up so that you can open your hand back up. Well, the same thing is true with the muscles in between your fingers, you see, you can come in here and work right in between the bones of your fingers and your palm. And then on the top of your hand, you can come in and work just like that. Now, for some of you, if you're on blood thinners, again, if you press too hard, you're going to bruise this really bad. So don't do that. All I'm doing is I'm pressing just enough I can feel a little bit of pressure there, and I'm working down my hand nice and gentle. And I want to feel this where my fingers can just spread, you see, and open my hand back up. Now, there are stretches for the hand as well as stretches for the forearm. So with the stretches for the forearm, make a light fist, take your other hand, and then gently as you breathe out, pull the hand downward, and you'll feel the stretch coming right across into here. And that's stretching the muscles on the top part of the forearm here. For getting underneath here, there's a couple ways of doing it. The easiest way is to put your hands together here. And then all I do is I just push one of my hands backwards this way with the other hand. And I can feel the stretch down into here, okay? And I'm just pushing down just like that. Let me back up so you can see the whole thing here. So see, I'm just pushing down like that. And then coming back over like that. But you see, as my hand comes back this way, I'm stretching down here. That's where I'm feeling it. That's probably the easiest way to do this, to make that happen. Now you could, let me move my chair out of the way. You could get on like a tabletop, turn the hand backwards as you get freer with this, and start to straighten out your arm and lean into it. And again, you'll feel the stretch down into here. Don't hold that for long periods of time. What you want to do there is, just like when you're doing this here, you're breathing out and feeling it. So this is a good way to start, because for a lot of people, they can't get their hands this far back. So this is a great way to start to open this back up so you can get your wrist and your forearms moving with that. The one where you're putting your hands backwards on a table, or in the case of what I did with the massage table there, is a little more advanced. And as you do that, you see, you can get into where, number one, you're turning it backwards and just leaning down on it. And you can also step back and really start to stretch that out that way. And you'll start to stretch all up into here. That becomes important because, you see, you have 5 bones in the wrist itself, and you need the lubrication in the wrist so that you don't come up with things like arthritis, which is really drying out of the joint, almost like rusting of the joint. You know, the body does oxidize, just like cars and anything else will do. And it's like, as you move those joints, you're re-lubricating them with what's called synovial fluid. And as you do that, you're able to move them more and more. And then once the brain sees that I can move my wrist without pain, it stops thinking about it. Because the thing is once you move your wrist and go, oh man, that really hurts, then the brain then starts to look for that pain again. So the next time you have to move your wrist, it's going to tighten all the muscles in your arm here to try to stop that pain. What we want to do is gently start moving the wrist. Even if you start just working this way, breathing out, you don't have to go from A to Z in your movement the first time. You may go to A to C, and that might be all you can do, but work your way up day after day, practicing this to get this wrist to open back up. You didn't get here overnight, right? I mean, chances are, if you have arthritis or anything in your wrist, you're probably 40, 50, 60 years old. That's a long time. And it's like, so when you're working to get this back, don't think that you're going to do something today and instantly that's just going to stop. That's not how that works. And so every day you just practice starting out this way if it's necessary. You can practice this way if it's necessary, and just practice on a daily basis. And you see, you can be watching TV and doing this, sitting anywhere or standing anywhere that you want to be when you're doing that. Now, when it comes to not massaging, but stretching the hands, there's different types of stretches you can do here. We want to stretch the webbing out this way. So see how I put my thumb right down where this joint is, right down here. So you can feel the joint right there. Catch my fingers this way, And what I'm doing is I'm pulling the thumb down. Now, don't get overzealous here and break your thumb, all right? But what you want is you start to feel the tension build in here a little bit as you start to open this back up. And the reason for this is that as you open that webbing up, you see now you can open your hand up nice and wide. So if you want to open a jar, you want to open a door, you've got not only the flexibility to move the thumb, but as you're working with the tennis ball, the strength to actually do the work. That's number one. So again, like every other stretch that I teach you, is that as you do this, you're going to gently come down till you feel the tension, breathe out, hold for that 5 seconds, release it, and then come back and do that 10 times, you see. And you start to open this back up so that now you get this webbing to start open up so the hand can expand like it's supposed to. The other thing you can do is you can have the hand where you're straight on here, catch your thumb, and gently push it right over the side of your hand. So you can see I'm coming over just like that. See if I can get you to see a better angle here. There you go, just like that. And again, you're gonna where you first feel the tension, stop, breathe out, and allow the muscle to relax there with your mind, and then breathe out again to make that happen. And what you're doing is you're lubricating this saddle joint down here. And the number one thing I always find with older people is they have pain down here. We want to stop that so that you can use your hands. When your hands aren't working right, and I don't have to tell most of you that, if your hands aren't working right, it makes life really difficult. With the other 4 fingers, there's several things you can do here. You can catch and bend your finger up. You just heard mine pop there probably. And again, you stretch up just like that. You'll do that 5, 6, 7 times, and then you'll stretch up like that. Now, if your fingers are really stiff and you have a hard time moving it, you're not going to just grab them and pull them up like I'm doing here, okay? I do this on a pretty regular basis so that I can get my fingers to start opening back up and my hands to do that. So again, keep in mind where you are. If you start here and that finger barely moves, start where you first start feeling the tension. Stop, breathe out, release it. And as you keep working, you'll notice it'll keep coming up higher and higher and higher because you're lubricating the joint here in this knuckle, you see. And even working your fingers like this is not a bad thing because you get this joint lubricating, this joint lubricating. You have lots of joints there. So when you don't really work your hands, they will stiffen up on you just like every other part of your body. And then that makes life really hard because we want to be able to grip things, hold on to things, and be able to use our hands the right way. You can stretch your fingers in between just like that, you see, and open this right back up. You can pull the fingers out from an angle like that if you want, and just moving them around, just like with a kid. You know, what's going on here with my hands? How does this thing move? Watch a baby, watch a toddler. They're playing with their hands, and they're constantly trying to figure out, how does these things move? How do these things work? We forgot that. As we become an adult, we forgot that. We're so caught up in what we're doing, we're forgetting that these little guys need a lot of work every day. Same thing is true, like I talked about with your feet when we talked about that as well. But I would focus on doing these things on a regular basis all the time. When I'm working on my forearm like this, many times I'm sitting in my car at a stoplight while the light is red. I'll take and just, you can see here, rotate my hand as I'm working right in, you see. And you start to just open that right back up. And then as you free that back up, this should be soft. Now that's the thing, that's another thing I want to touch on, because a lot of times when people feel their bodies, you only usually feel your arms and that's it. I'm lucky enough that I get to feel 5 or 6 people's arms or legs every single day. So I get a wide range of what a leg or arm should feel like. So if you touch your arm here, you get up here and you start touching your arm, whatever your arm feels like, that is your normal, because that's the only thing you see. And so what we want to do here is we want to learn a new normal. So when you touch your arm, it should be so soft that you can easily reach in and feel the bones in your forearm. If it's rock hard where you can't feel the bones or tell the difference, arm is too tight. Even though it may feel like it always feels to you, chances are your arm has been tight for a long time. And it's like, so that's your normal at this point. So the thing is we want a new normal. We want this to be soft enough. You can see how my skin just moves here. I've touched some people's arms where their skin wouldn't move at all, but you want to be able to get in and feel the bone. So how do you know the difference in a hard muscle and a bone? Well, a hard muscle, when you press on it, hurts. A bone, when you press on it, does not hurt. You can come up here on this little knot right up here in your elbow, press, chances are you're going to feel no pain. But if you come down here and press, chances are you're going to feel pain. And I mean, some of the people are just amazed at how much pain they feel when I press right into here on their arm. And this is no magical spot. So don't mistake in that to believe that's a magical spot. The only reason I go here a lot is because I know that when people use their hands, this is the areas that they really use it the most. And what we want to do is teach you how to stop doing that. That's an important thing. It's for so many people, we haven't really done a very good job in teaching people how to take care of their bodies. But I mean, like I said, if you just practicing just taking your fingers and bending them like that, if nothing else, doing that causes the fingers to be able to move. Yeah, for some of you, that may seem impossible. That may hurt just to even come do this, but you have to begin somewhere. And as you begin somewhere and you start moving those fingers like that, then all of a sudden what happens is that the joints start to lubricate. It's a slow process, but it starts to lubricate. And as it does that, what you're going to find is your hands are going to become more usable. It's important. I mean, I can't stress that enough. And it's something that we can do anytime, anywhere, and we should be doing it. Now, with the stretching, as some of you have been following me along the way, when it comes to the stretching is a daily thing. Think of a dog or a cat or even a bird. I mean, if you're out walking in the morning time, notice the birds sitting on a wire, stretching their wings out before they even fly. We haven't really been taught to do that. What we've been taught to do in stretching, and that's a massive mistake, is that we should only stretch before we do an exercise activity and after we do an exercise activity, or if we feel stiff or in pain. It's too late. That's a little too late. What if we did it on a daily basis and eliminated the effect of having to feel those pains to begin with? And with the stretch and release technique, that's what I'm talking about all the time is we want to do it on a daily basis, 15, 20 minutes in the morning, 15, 20 minutes in the evening before you go to bed. I do it every day. That's not just me talking to you. I do it every day. And at 65, I literally wake up every day with no pain. What I found is that by doing the stretch and release 15, 20 minutes before I go to bed at night, is it actually helps me sleep better at night, more soundly. And then that 15, 20 minutes in the morning frees up my muscles, because even at night, if I have a dream or I'm rolling around in bed, I'm tightening my muscles all the time. So even from a dream, sometimes you have dreams where you feel like you're running from something or you feel like you're chasing something. Even though it's in your mind and it's a perception, the muscles in your body are going to react to that perception. So they're going to be tight as if you were actually doing the running physically. And so when you wake up first thing in the morning, what you do with that is that you start to free the body to allow your body to start moving better and come into a calmer state before you go to work. The thing is that everybody will say to me, do I have to stretch all my muscles every day? And no, that's not the case in point. What I do, and I can only tell you what I do, is that when I get up and I go to stretch, I think about what did I do the last 12 hours. And that's going to determine what I stretch. So for instance, if I am working out in the gym and I'm working on my chest and I'm working on my shoulders kind of thing, I know that when I stretch, I've got to do more upper body. So I'm going to do the stretch for the outside chest muscle or the bigger chest muscle coming in here. I'm going to use a tennis ball on the back of my shoulders back here so that I can loosen them up. And chances are I'm going to stretch the muscles on the front of my neck. so that I don't get that humped over feeling like an old guy. If I use my legs, for instance, I'm going to work on that part of my legs. If I'm gardening on my knees in the yard, I know that my hamstrings are going to be tight and my calves are going to be tight, and chances my hips will be tight. I want to focus there. So the purpose of the stretch and release technique is not only about stretching and self massage and releasing from the mind, but it's also about teaching you how to prepare your body every single day so that you can wake up more pain free. And it, hopefully for most of you, you'll get to a point you will wake up pain free. I mean, I was 40 years old when I started this. You've heard this story before if you watched my videos. I was not pain free at 40. At 65, I'm pain free. And for most people, it happens just the opposite. But the key to it is, number one, understanding how the stretch and release technique works, understanding the importance of strength training, and also understanding the importance of nutrition. And we can talk about all those things. I can share with you what I did to lose 135 pounds since 1997 and maintain my weight so that my weight didn't go up and down, but also control the inflammation in my body, allow my body to actually heal itself, improve my immune system as well. I love at 65 getting blood work done and my doctor calling me and saying there's no need for a follow-up. Everything looks great. That's what I want for you too. The strength training becomes important because you need the muscles for mobility to have this power to have more mobility, but you also want to protect the bones in your body. And so we'll have more of these on the strength training as well, because the thing is that by age 40, we all start losing about 1% of our muscle mass each year until we die. And so we have to really stress, doing the workout, consuming more protein, and getting our bodies back healthier. It doesn't mean you have to go crazy with it. And we'll definitely do some Q&As on strength training as well to help you get a better idea about that. So I'm really hoping this is helping you. I know that we've had some low attendance for this, and I get that. Maybe I haven't done a good enough job marketing, so I'm going to work on that a little bit to get more people's attention. And if you do happen to see this even in a recording and you think a better day would be more appropriate for you, let me know that in the comments. I'd be happy to hear that. What would you like to see more if whatever is here you don't really get? This is about you, not me. I know how to do this. And so what I want to do is help you help yourself. So for now, see you.